All right, everybody, and welcome to the finals of the Epic Fall Tournament. I am one of your casters, Eric Mjinga Collier, and I am here with my good friend, who I will let introduce himself.
Yes, thank you very much, Eric. This is Gillfrost, Alex Gillfrost Gill, if you want to be more precise, and I'm really excited to watch this game and cast this game here with you.
Yeah, this should be a good game. For those of you who haven't tuned in to the previous games, this is the Epic Fall Tournament. We had a Swiss tournament, which actually consisted of 24 teams, and now the top 8 teams are competing for a couple of prizes. So we should be getting into game very, very quickly, and we should have some picks and bans coming up for you now. But again, this is the Epic Fall Tournament. On the blue side is the Innocent Bystanders. On the red side is Insert Funny Name. So we are now into Champion Select, and let's see who gets banned out first.
Yeah, one interesting thing to note is with the way the game is currently, Ari and Aatrox are still unavailable due to bugs, so we won't be seeing either of them on the chopping block today. So I'm not sure what these players play, but that could very well affect this game.
Yeah, and I should also mention that I talked to Riot about an hour or so ago, and they said that Ari was disabled because her Q, or her orb, was doing double damage if you hit somebody at the end of it. So as if it didn't do enough damage already, it was doing twice as much damage as it should have. I do not know why Aatrox is disabled, but that's the reason why Ari is disabled.
That is good to know. I mean, I would have loved to have been a part of that first couple of people to figure that out and just dominating games with that double damage, but alas, I was unfortunately working probably when they figured that out. Either way, the bans are starting to come across. We've got Vayne and Vi coming across from the side of Innocent Bystanders, and on the other side we've got Renekton and Kassadin.
So Vayne obviously is one of those hyper carries that I feel like gets banned pretty regularly. Renekton and Kassadin also get banned fairly regularly. Vi can go either way. She has been played a lot recently, especially in the World Finals that took place a couple of weeks ago. But that Cassiopeia ban, I have to say, is likely a targeted ban.
I would hope so. Yeah, because that definitely haven't seen Cassio in a while. Can output a ton of damage and can be an absolute game breaker though, and so definitely wanting to take that off the table and it seems like that must be a popular pickup here for insert funny name. But on the other side of things, Shen. So really outside that Cassiopeia, it's a lot of solo Q bans coming out here as we're going into the picks.
Yeah, so Asno is the first 1-2 pick. He has about 40 seconds. We'll see if they will lock in an OP champion, I guess. There still are a couple available. Thresh, I think, would likely be the pickup that somebody would want to go for early in these picks and bans, but they're hovering over this Hecarim pick.
Yeah, Thresh hasn't been as popular lately. I mean, nothing really changed about him either. I mean, he's still got an amazing toolkit that can absolutely dominate that bot lane, but they're choosing to go with a little bit more of a safe pick. I'm assuming that's going to be a jungle Hecarim, and Hecarim still is just a really powerful champion to have in that jungle. Really good at ganking, and hard to counter. Definitely a good first pick.
Yeah, he really has a decently weak early game, but after that early game, he becomes incredibly strong and is incredibly useful in team fights. He can soak up a lot of damage, has quite a bit of utility, as well as deals a decent amount of damage as well, especially for a tank. Whereas on the other side, it looks like they are hovering over a Zyra pick and a Jinx pick, and I'll tell you what, if that Zyra is bot, I would not want to be against that poke lane.
Though it looks like they actually went with Draven, interestingly enough, and I was going to say, that one actually 80 carry that made it through the bans that has been on that ban list a lot recently is that Jinx, but they're deciding to go with Draven. Still a very scary pick. A lot of early game damage coming out of that Draven, and paired with Zyra, it is going to be a very scary bot lane. However, it does leave them open to countering, so we'll see here what Innocent Bystanders has to say about that. And they're hovering over Nami and Lucian, and that's actually a pretty good lane as far as synergy goes. I just am not sure how I feel about Lucian in general, though.
Yeah, I feel like he's pretty good at everything. He has a decent amount of damage, a decent amount of utility, a decent amount of sustain, but he's not fantastic at any one of those things. Whereas Draven, he may not be the best late game, but he is an early game bully and can put out a lot of damage very, very quickly. But we do have two additional picks coming out. Gragas as well as J4, which will likely be in the jungle.
Yeah, I would expect to see that J4 in the jungle. It could be a top laner, but yeah, I definitely think we're going to see that in jungle. And that's in direct opposition to, like you said, that Hecarim having somewhat of a weak early game. I mean, Jarvan is going to be very consistent, and he's got a very strong early game, and he never really trails off at any specific time. So we'll see here. We might see some early action in the jungle. I wouldn't expect to see it necessarily, but it is an option here as we're throwing it over to the other side here. Mordekaiser being hovered over. I would like to say that I don't think that's going to be locked in, but you never know.
Yeah, Swain instant lock. I was just going to say Swain could be a good counter to that Gragas, provided that Swain can survive the burst. Gragas, after he throws down his combo, really has to wait for his cooldowns to come up. His auto attacks do quite a bit of damage, but once he throws down his two barrels, he has to wait for those, I guess, his two barrels and his belly slam. I know it's actually called his body slam, but it really is more of a belly slam. But after he throws those things down, he has to wait for his cooldowns, and Swain might be able to heal up enough to be able to duel that Gragas, but he will have to melt through the Gragas W, which will reduce incoming damage.
Yeah, and so we'll see, but I mean, obviously, I have seen Swain a little bit more recently, so I do like that pickup, and he is one of those champions that, when he gets going, he can be real hard to stop, and he's one of the few AP mages, I think, that can kind of almost hit that immovable force status there. If he gets enough feed, he can definitely be a huge part. And on the other side of the thing, speaking of those late game hyper carries, we've got Jax looking like, yeah, he's going to be locked in here as the top laner here from the side of insert funny name on the red side.
Now, interesting synergy between Nasus and Jax. So Jax has a counter-strike ability which allows him to dodge auto attacks, and Nasus has his Q, I believe it's called the Siphoning Strike, does additional damage on auto attacks. However, the Jax counter-strike does not block the Nasus Siphon Strike. And so that Jax not being as much of a counter to Nasus as maybe you'd like to see in a counter pick.
Yeah, when a lot of those, like even Teemo's Blind does not affect certain spells that are on attack spells like that. Udir's Bear Stance Stun would be one of them, and so we'll see how Jax is able to handle this top lane. He may think he's going to take a little less damage than in actuality. Either way, those are our picks. We're going to be going into a short delay here. So who do you think has the level 1 here?
Who has the level 1? I feel like insert funny name on the red side definitely has more lockdown level 1. They do have potentially, I guess, the Draven Stand Aside, as well as the Zyra Root, as well as the Counter-Strike coming out from Jax. Whereas on the other side, Innocent Bystander has potentially a Snare from Swain, as well as a Slow from Nasus, and a Bubble from Nami. And I guess technically they might be able to get the knock back from Hecarim, but I can't really see him picking that up level 1 because I don't think it gives enough utility to justify picking that over his Q. So when it comes to single target lockdown, I definitely have to go with insert funny name.
Yeah, no, I would definitely have to agree with that. The Nami bubble is always a huge factor in level 1, so that may be enough to deter any action here in the beginning of this game, as both sides do have some options here in that early game. But I would expect to see pretty standard play coming out of the first couple of minutes here. I doubt we'll also see any lane swaps, although that is a possibility. As far as Jax goes, he's somebody you don't want to get too terribly fed. But on the other side of things, Nasus is best left to free farm as well. So I think they'll probably both be in the top lane.
Yeah, and I really can't see Nasus killing Jax in the early to early mid game. I could see Jax killing Nasus pretty quick after they hit level 6, but I think Nasus really just wants to farm up and get that Q farmed, and so he'll do quite a bit of damage. But I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. I don't see potentially action coming from that top lane. The mid lane, however, I think will also just be a farm fest, at least until they hit level 6. And then I could see Gragas trying to jump on Swain and kill him, but otherwise I think we're going to have to wait for ganks in that lane to see any action.
I do think that the jungle is going to be a huge part of this game. Across the board, it's really going to decide who gets the power coming into the mid game here. Whichever jungler is doing the most work in the early game. The one interesting thing to note, by the way, Zyra is actually the only member of either of these teams that was really hit by this most recent patch as far as direct changes. And she actually, a lot of people consider it a nerf. She is not going to have nearly as much early game power. Her Deadly Bloom range is reduced a little bit, and the damage is also reduced, along with a few other small changes. So we'll see here. I'm not sure if DZX, really probably still feels comfortable, and she obviously still has the same kit, and is, I think, should be able to apply the same kind of pressure she normally does, but we'll see how that plays out in this game.
Yeah, I do see the bottom lane actually, depending on who gets the first crowd control, I can see the bottom lane jumping on each other without ganks, but I think that's where we will see the most action sans the jungler. And we are loading into game now, and once we do get into the loading screen, we'll take turns introducing the teams. I will start with Innocent Bystanders, and then you can go with insert funny name. But this looks like it's, for the most part, a pretty even matchup when it comes to champ selection, and I hope that it's also, these are the top 8 teams from the Epic Fall Tournament, so it should be a pretty even matchup with regards to skill as well.
Sounds good. Yeah, we'll go ahead with Innocent Bystanders.
Okay, so Innocent Bystanders is on the blue side. We have Anso on Hecarim, Wayu Stalin on Nami, Fehute on that Lucian, and we'll just call them Asian Ponies on Nasus, and no comment on Swain.
Yes, and on the other side, red side, it's going to be insert funny name, and they're starting off with Jarvan in the jungle, played by Rubling. Draven will be their AD carry, H Gao, or just Gao. Zyra is going to be supporting him, DZX, X101. Gragas will be in that mid solo lane. It's Dinofail. Then Jax will be in that top lane for Kazmodan. So I think that's a shout out to World of Warcraft or
Diablo 3. I think.
Diablo 3. Okay.
As Modan is one of the bosses, but I don't know. It could be. It may or may not be.
I don't know. It's been a while.
So yeah, exactly. Yeah, my wife's actually a pretty big Diablo 3 fan, so I hear about it every once in a while when she gets to that level. But we are just about to get into game here. Yep, and just as I say that, we are actually in game. And both teams are picking up items very quickly, and it looks like they are rushing to their own respective buffs. It actually would not surprise me if we saw wards going down early in this game.
Yeah, no, I mean, wards are still just a huge part of this game, and if you haven't been paying attention to the some of the changes that have been proposed for Season 4, they're definitely going to be revamping that. But right now, and especially towards the end of this season, it's really been the game of who can get the best ward coverage. And so, yeah, I would not be surprised to see some grouping here, as it looks like Zyra is going to be going up and warding her own red side area. And actually, it looks like blue side may just be setting up defensively.
Yeah, and there is one, like you said, ward on the red side going out near the red buff. So
30 seconds.
Yeah, so they'll spot out any funny business.
Yeah.
But other than that, it looks like it's going to be a slow start here. Is blue side setting up that defensive perimeter around their buffs. Looks like Hecarim will be starting at his own blue buff and then crossing down to his red. And then on the other side, we'll have it mirrored. Blue buff to red buff from the insert funny name side. I've been seeing a lot more of everyone starting at their bottom buff. So for the blue side, they would start at their own red buff, and then from the red side starting at their own blue buff, but going for just the standard blue buff opening here from both jungles as the minions have spawned.
Yeah, and we'll see if this pays off for them. Rubling on that Jarvan would probably have a hard time killing Nasus up in that top lane, because likely Jax and Nasus will be level 2 once he gets up there, maybe level 3, but very likely not level 3 quite yet. And so a level 2 Jax doesn't really provide a heck of a lot when it comes to damage. You know, he doesn't quite have his level 6 where he has a passive bonus magic damage every third hit, but we'll see if this pays off for them. Hecarim, on the other hand, might be able to make something happen in the bot depending on if bot lane is able to get some poke off.
Yeah, so we'll see here. I mean, Lucian does have that option, does have a kit that does lend itself a little bit to getting off some poke, but we'll see here. Is Hecarim getting a little bit behind in the jungle here. Jarvan actually skipping wolves and heading straight over to the red buff. He looks like he's going to try to get some early action here, as he only is sitting on blue and red right now, as Hecarim just now getting to his red.
You know, that's really not surprising at all. Hecarim doesn't have extremely potent ganks until level 6. But meanwhile, in the bot lane, Gao is actually getting off quite a bit of damage onto that Lucian.
Yeah, they really zoned out Fahut there, and yeah, he was just taking way too much damage. Those spinning axes absolutely getting him down very quickly, as we are actually going to be seeing a gank here from Gordo. He's jumping, Asno, he's jumping onto DZX, and it looks like he is going to get first blood there. Gao now being jumped on. He's taking a lot of damage. A huge ulta, our Bob Bubble from there, from YSU Stalin, is going to force the flash out of Draven. He's going to escape alive, though, nearly going down there to that amazing gank in that bot lane, and definitely giving innocent bystanders an early lead here.
Now, the fact that bot lane does not have Ignite was what saved Gao there. Gao taken really low, and if they had had an Ignite, they would have been able to finish him off, but they are opting for that barrier for more of a defensive build, which I fairly agree with, so I don't think it's necessarily a bad move, but, you know, I'm all for the traditional play, so I'll point out whenever Ignite as opposed to barrier would have been an advantage.
Right, yeah, and that is a surprising turn, with the fact that pressure, having a lot of pressure is just really important right now. and being able to apply pressure to your enemies in lane. Not having Ignite is going to could be detrimental, and I guess only time will tell. Is Jarvan taking a look at the bot lane, though he is spotted out by a ward, so it looks like the duo from Innocent Bystanders going to go ahead and back and pick up some items with the gold they just got from that gank.
Yeah, and you can see just how much damage those spinning axes do. Draven has one Doran's Blade, and he can kill a minion off of one tower hit. I guess he can kill those caster minions off of one tower hit, which most AD carries have a hard time doing at level 3.
We do have a gank and a counter gank coming here. Dino Fall is going to be jumped on. The teleport coming out from Nasus as well. It looks like he may be a little bit late to the party, though, so he does cancel that as Rubling is going to escape. But no comment, did get jumped on there by Jarvan. And the thing was, Hecarim was right there to even the odds. And with the threat from the teleport, Insert Funny Name was unable to keep in there. And they did escape with their lives, though.
So I really just noticed that Roebling has Ghost instead of Flash, which is not a typical pickup on that Jarvan, but it did keep him very safe, and he did have to pop his Summoner ability to get out of that.
Yeah, and so Summoner's down there as, once again, we see the top lane being a little bit boring. Trading damage back and forth right now fairly evenly, but the bottom lane is the name of the game. As we actually do see another gank coming out here from Asno. He is going to jump in there. A nice dodge there by DZX to avoid some of that damage from Lucian, but yeah, actually they're going to go ahead and split up here, and they're actually going to be all right for now, as actually Asno gets the kill off onto that support there in the bot lane, and keeping that chase up, using that movement speed, picking up a second kill for himself.
So good job there. Knowing that he had that red buff and having vision on the rest of the members of Insert Funny Names meant that he could chase down that Zyra, and DZX really didn't have an answer, didn't have her flash up, missed that snare, and so that red buff just essentially caused the death there.
Yeah, no, and never underestimate that. And that's an interesting thing. I mean, Zyra was obviously trying to take the safest path that she thought she could get out. And unfortunately, it just did not end up working out for her, as YU Stalin actually pops the, goodness gracious, exhaust there, yeah, onto Draven, and he's going to actually escape under his own turret with just a little bit of health once again.
Yeah, now, even though there wasn't a kill there, that is actually a really good play for the bot lane. Innocent Bystanders doing a really good job pushing that Draven out of lane, and that Draven's just going to get more and more behind. Meanwhile, in the top lane, you can see Jax has hit level 6, and so he does have that passive additional magic damage every third hit. And in the mid lane, we do have another engaged.
Yeah, it looks like no comment being jumped on there by Dinofall. He's trying to heal up, but it's not going to be enough. Grag is picking up a kill there. Asno is there as well. Thinks about diving into that turret, but he is not going to like that, as he's still only level 5. And we do have a 1-for-0 as Dino picks himself up a kill in the mid lane.
Now, that was really a great play by Dino there, because what he did is he popped the Ignite, which stopped Swain from being able to heal with his ultimate, and then used his body slam to do some damage, used a barrel to do additional damage, then popped the Ignite and threw the ultimate to toss Swain back into Tower Fire so that the Tower Fire could do additional damage to Swain, and then Swain tried to run away, healing up with his ultimate, but that exhaust was preventing him from doing that, which allowed Gragas just to pick up the kill with a couple of auto attacks, and he essentially out-damaged the Swain's heal with the Ignite running and that additional auto attack damage coming out from his Drunken Rage.
Well, and that's actually one of the reasons why we don't see Swain more often, honestly, and even in solo queue, is he's so easily countered by that Ignite, especially in the laning phase. And so if you can take advantage of that, it makes it a little bit harder for Swains to get going, and we just saw Gragas taking advantage of that fully there as Nasus backs off in the top lane. But looking across the board, farm is fairly even, and this game is really just separated by nice edges. Dino and No Comment trade some more damage in the mid lane, and unfortunately, in a straight-up interaction there, an engagement, Swain's going to be able to sustain a little bit better in that lane, as Gragas feeling the full force of that being brought fairly low, almost to half health, and Swain sitting pretty on full.
And it surprises me that in the bot lane, Draven is still winning the farm battle, because Draven has been forced out of lane essentially twice, whereas Lucian and Wyustall, I guess Fihute, or I don't know how to pronounce this. We'll say Fihute and Wyustall really haven't been forced out of lane per se, but they have chosen to go back. But meanwhile, we have Gao, out farming Lucian, even if it's only by a small amount. Meanwhile, in the mid, we do have an engage coming out from No Comment.
Yeah, No Comment now trading 2v1. Roebling pops that ultimate, but now we have a counter gank coming out here from Asno. He's going to pick up the kill there, actually, for his mid laner, and now Dino is in trouble there. Teleport also came out from Nasus, and Dino trying to flee. It looks like he actually may be able to execute himself onto a turret here, using that last belly flop there to at least get out of there, and it is actually going to be a kill there for No Comment. Did not wait quite long enough, and No Comment picks himself up a delayed double kill in the mid lane. And actually in the top lane we've got some action, yeah. Cosmodan gets jumped on there. Jax forced to flash out there as Asno went straight to that top lane. Jax is going to escape alive, but it looks like he's going to have to back.
And in that bot lane even, there was an engage that didn't result in kills, but a lot of summoners was burned. Actually, every summoner was burned in that bot lane. Both AD carries trying to jump on the respective AD carry, but the support's doing a good job tanking some of that damage and allowing their AD carry to stay alive. So no kills going down, but quite a bit of action all at once in this game.
Yeah, no kidding. It just exploded across the map. The one thing about this bot lane right now is at least Lucian does have a little bit of sustain with that heal from Nami. Unfortunately, Draven's going to have to rely on his auto attacks. He is sitting on double Dorans, though, so they should both be able to heal up from this fairly quickly, although we do see some action coming out here. Zyra going to ward, but he's meeting with No Comment there. No Comment doing a ton of damage, and actually they're going to give that kill over to Fihute, and he is also going to get the kill onto Draven for a double kill in the bot lane. Nice roam there out of No Comment.
So 6 kills to 1 kill. Up in that top lane, the Asian pony's trying to take on Cosmodan. You can see how much just damage, or that damage reduction that Wither is doing, which reduces Jax's attack speed, but Jax still being able to trade pretty well. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Dinofail just being a little bit of a bully. He knows that his lane opponent is out, so he pushed that turret, or pushed the minion wave up to that turret to try to deny him some farm.
Yeah, and unfortunately wasn't able to capitalize on that roam too much more than that, and Swain just had that lane fully pushed there. And now No Comment is going to return to lane, and he's going to have free reign of these minions here, is using that ultimate to heal himself up. He also has completed his Rod of Ages, so it is going to start building up stacks here. And not only does it, I mean, obviously going to give you those raw stats, but the fact that it still gives you that health and mana when you're leveling up, it's actually a really good item to pick up first, especially for a Swain who's going to be very mana intensive. Since he wasn't able to, he just didn't choose to get any mana per 5 items. He's still going to be receiving that level mana, which should be able to keep him using that ultimate from time to time at the very least.
Yeah, and the Asian pony's actually getting jumped on there by Cosmodan. You can see Cosmodan really will have a lot of front-loaded damage because he'll jump on and do quite a bit of burst. But Nasus actually has passive lifesteal off of his abilities, and especially he gets quite a bit from that Q. So my guess is that it's going to be fairly difficult for Cosmodan to actually pick up a kill there. But meanwhile, we do have Rublin coming in for a gank here. The ultimate is thrown down.
Yeah, Felid is going to get melted there by the ultimate from Gao, and they're going to have a 3 against 1 here on this bottom turret. And I don't think Nami can really do much about this right now, although it looks like she is apparently enough of a force to force back these 3 members as a nice gank coming out there. But honestly, that Zyra ultimate, I think, doing most of the work.
Yeah, Zyra doing a great job here, and that also allows them to pick up a dragon. It is by no means free, and you can see the innocent bystanders are gathering to try to counter that, and we'll see if they do have the ability to go in here. No Comment does land that snare, pops his ultimate, walks in. Blue team actually picks up the dragon, and they are going to get a couple of kills out of this. No Comment is exhausted, and DZX trying to do quite a bit of damage. Actually, Shutdown coming out there for the Draven. The Draven gets knocked up by that Nami bubble. No Comment is out of mana. They are incredibly low, and you can just see how frustrated No Comment is. He wants to pick up the kill, but he doesn't have enough mana to finish them off.
And that's unfortunately the curse you get with that, Swain, is you do a lot of AoE damage, as he actually is going to pick up a kill on a Zyra there in the end, and that's a very fed. He's got 3 kills right now. They were able to pick up that dragon, a huge dragon steal there for Asno. He went down in the fight, but definitely a good trade there for them, especially since they were down a man going into that.
Yeah, and like I said, it was just unfortunate that he ran out of mana, because otherwise that likely would have been a triple kill. All he needed to do was stand in the middle of the other team. But it does look like they are going to pick up a turret off of that as well. So a 3, I guess probably about a 2.5k gold advantage coming out for Innocent Bystanders.
Yes, it's actually Ribbling trying to get here in the top lane. Draven's there as well. Wyustalin trying to defend here for Felhood as they are fleeing this duo here in the bot lane. No one else is really close though, and it looks like Wyustalin forced to flash out, but he may be able to live. No, the ultimate from Draven is going to pick that kill up. Now he's turning on to Felhood, and Felhood's being too low here. He's Gao is going to take a turret hit, but it's going to be a double kill. Barriers popped all around, but nice job there by Gao to pick up a double kill in the bot lane.
So just as we thought it was starting to go in the favor of Innocent Bystanders, Insert Funny Name has a response. They picked up a couple of kills, so it helped them even out that gold lead just a little bit. And they are about 2,000 gold behind at this point, but they do have a couple of champions that will ramp up in this early mid and late mid game that will help them perhaps come back in this game. So I don't know that they should be really worried as of yet, but you can see no Comet being fed is going to be a problem for them. Insert Funny Name has to have a response to that, because Dinofail, he's not necessarily doing poorly, but definitely Swain doing a little bit more there. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Ribbling actually gets knocked up, and Fuentes there does jump back there and knock that up. And here comes the ultimate from Asgodno, and Gao is doing damage but won't pick up a kill, and that will be a double kill coming out for Fuente.
Yeah, doing a great job in that bot lane. Wyustalin threw out that ultimate, knowing that they were probably backing in that bush. Didn't actually have vision there. Was able to catch Gao and Ribbling out of position there, and then Asno was just there as well to help them finish off the kills. And without that ultimate, Gao was unable to complete the kill onto Nami. And so a nice pickup there, continuing to separate Innocent Bystanders here in the gold. As Jax right now, really the only one winning lane. He is up in farm onto the Nasus, but just by a little bit, and unfortunately it may just not be enough here. However, I think that Insert Funny Name, they still have some options as far as team comp goes and team fights, as well as that Jax is going to scale very well into the late game. And Gao, he's been getting kills, so he's got 4 kills on him. He is also going to be doing a ton of damage, so it's really going to have to do with these team fights here. I don't think I can call it either way, even close, until I see a team fight or two.
You know, it's going to be really close, because Insert Funny Name does have kind of a 2-threat attack, where they have quite a bit of burst with that Zyra and the Gragas. But then they do also have that Jax to follow it up with the auto attack damage. So they don't actually have to kill people with their burst. They just have to get them low enough for Jax to be able to jump on, whatever target they choose and finish them off. And so team fights are not necessarily decided yet, even though Innocent Bystanders is doing better in this early portion of the game.
Yeah, it looks like we are seeing more of an extended laning phase here as Jax and Nasus staying in the top lane. The first time we're really seeing anybody grouping up, though. We are seeing both teams grouping in the mid lane as forces of 4. And it looks like in Insert Funny Name, they want to get this mid turret there. Right now they're down 2-1 in turrets, and they really want to try to trade back this mid turret.
Yeah, they do have that. Not only are they down 2-1 in turrets, but they also are missing a dragon. And so that, I would say, is a bulk of the gold lead for Innocent Bystanders is coming from objectives. Obviously, they have not really a farm advantage, but they do have a kill advantage. But those objectives giving global gold, really, really helping out Innocent Bystanders in that gold lead against Insert Funny Name. And you can see Insert Funny Name's trying to siege this turret. All 5 members from both teams are here. The snare actually missing from No Comment. The bubble landing onto Osmodon. We'll see if they do decide to go in on that. Cosmodon's actually taken really low. We'll have to jump out of that, and that likely will be the end of this siege. But they did put down some damage on that turret, which may make it easier to pick up next time.
Yeah, it is below half health. One interesting to note as well, just to kind of swag for Riot, is that they did change the visuals on turrets. So you'll notice there on the mini map that this this first turret here, this tier 1 turret here from the mid lane on the red side, is not showing up on the map, and so it is going to be a little bit easier, I think, for teams to notice that. But just a little swag there, as it looks like Innocent Bystanders turning onto this dragon area, and they may try to dance something, force a fight here.
So Insert Funny Name actually has more vision than Innocent Bystanders is giving them credit for. That's a good ward, and we'll see if they want to trade this dragon for this turret. Meanwhile, Innocent Bystanders just sees that push, and they're going to try to initiate. Asgore goes into the back.
Yeah, Azo is going in there. A nice ultimate there from Nami. He's going to land on 3 members of Team Red, and Kaz just going down so fast. He's going to go down. DZX is going down as well. Double kill for, that mid laner there, as No Comment just cleaning this one up, picking up a triple kill in that fight, and they lost no one in that ace, and they're going to be able to pick up at least a turret from that.
So 15-5 at this point into the game. 20 minutes into this game, it seems like it is all Innocent Bystanders again. They likely will be able to pick up a turret off of that. And that team fight just going poorly for Insert Funny Name because of the poke that Innocent Bystanders was able to put on them at that turret. Innocent Bystander really didn't take any damage when they were, essentially stopping the siege at the turret, but Insert Funny Name took quite a bit of damage there. And then when Innocent Bystanders went over to Dragon, Insert Funny Name tried to push, and they were out of position, which allowed Innocent Bystander to initiate there. And so even though that fight seemed incredibly one-sided, and it actually was incredibly one-sided, it was really because there was quite a bit of poke put onto Insert Funny Name before the fight even started, and so it wasn't really an even matchup.
Yeah, no, and one interesting thing to note about the post after that fight, you'll notice that Lucian actually used his ultimate there on a minion wave, so they did not even use Lucian's ultimate during that fight, and I've actually seen this. Actually, I casted with Monte Cristo, and he was telling me about a strategy that they've seen across in Asia, where Lucians have been picked up just to clear minion waves with that ultimate in order to siege down turrets faster and more effectively. And it seems like that may be a strat that is being employed here by Innocent Bystanders, as Fahute does not even use that during that team fight.
We'll have to see if that's really what it's picked up for. I could see that being the case, because that ultimate from Lucian, the culling just is really difficult to land and really reduces your mobility. And so especially for a team that has quite a bit of dive, you don't want your mobility to be reduced all that much. And so, I think that it would be a good idea to use it to clear those minion waves, but we'll see if we can use it effectively in team fights as well. Meanwhile, in the top lane, it looks like Cosmodon's actually taken very low by the Asian ponies.
Yeah,
and they are going to pick up Dragon.
Yeah, it looks like Dragon was picked up. But yeah, the Asian pony's doing quite a bit of damage there. This was really the first time he's been trading favorably against Jax in his top lane, and he's got 3 assists. So I think he actually is winning in gold right now. And that's really showing, especially the fact that he's got the Iceborne Gauntlets, as No Comment actually gets jumped on here in the bot lane. Nami throws out the defensive ultimate, but it was actually a little bit after the fact. But with those down, as well as the spread here from this side of blue, it looks like they're going to lose this mid turret, but it looks like we may see them trying to trade it for a bottom turret.
So this tower in the mid will go down, but there are 2 members of Innocent Bystanders that are pushing. So No Comment does have quite a bit of wave clear, and they will likely be able to keep this second tier turret somewhat safe. Yeah. And just as I say that, they decide that they're going to go in on this. So
yeah, looks like No Comment.
The tower still surviving.
Yeah, no, and I mean, why you stalling? I mean, that bubble just should never be underestimated. Actually, they are going to be jumped on 3v5 here, actually, as actually no Asno is there as well. Zyra ultimate going out. It's not going to land on anybody, though, as Asno pops that ultimate to get in there. Dino being brought very low, force a flash out there. The Asian is just picking up kills. He got the 1. He's got 2 now onto Jarvan. A double kill for him. Now they're going to try to they've got the team split up here. Gao being jumped on. He's doing a ton of damage there, using those mechanics there to pick himself up, actually a double kill. Jax, in the meanwhile, gets the turret in the top lane, but it looks like Gao is going to go down in the end, finally picking that one up. It is Swain. The only one really escaping from that is Dino, as Jax goes down in the top lane, barely dying there to Fehute as he escapes with just a sliver of health.
That barrier keeping him alive, so that barrier is in fact paying off. However, you can see the gold lead is just expanding for Innocent Bystanders. It is 19 kills on the side of Innocent Bystanders to 7 kills on the side of Insert Funny Name, and a 7,000 gold lead coming out. 5 towers to 3 and an exposed inhibitor. So Insert Funny Name getting behind. This game hasn't quite yet reached that snowball point, but there's a giant snowball at the top of the mountain waiting to be tipped over with any kind of team fight or advantage with regards to objectives for Innocent Bystanders.
Yeah, and it really is an uphill battle for right now for Insert Funny Name. I mean, Nasus got 3 kills in that engagement, and so not only was he already up just because of his assists, he already had more gold than Jax. He now just backed with almost 2,000 gold, and he was able to pick himself up a Spectre's Cowl. He's able to finish his Ninja Tabby and a Kindle Gem, and so he is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And he's also sitting on 147 farm, and so his Q is going to be doing quite a bit of damage here as Innocent Bystanders trying to get that vision control around the Baron area. Jax split pushing in the top lane.
So Jax will actually have to respond to this because otherwise they are going to lose an inhibitor. There are a ton of wards coming out for Innocent Bystanders, so they will see Jax coming in. The Asian Ponies is taking low, but the inhibitor does go down. We'll see if Innocent Bystanders wants to make something happen here. Jax actually does not initiate, and he opts to wait in the bush. They're playing this defensively, and they essentially lost an inhibitor for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, Jax had a difficult decision to make. He either had to back off, as they may have been able to continue pushing that into the base, or he could have split push in that top lane and possibly gotten a turret out of it. So they were going to lose that inhibitor either way. He may have gotten back in time if he had backed and bought in home guards. It's actually Lucian going ahead, and he's just going to go and clear out that minion wave. And it looks like that may be what they're doing there. That's at least one more piece of confirmation. I wasn't sure about that last fight, but an interesting strategy. It's actually the first time I've actually seen it here, as right now, Insert Funny Name trying to push back as much as they can.
So Innocent Bystanders actually just waiting confidently at the turret, perhaps waiting to put some damage onto Insert Funny Name before they engage, but Innocent Bystanders definitely stronger than Insert Funny Name at this point. You can see there's almost 2 big items coming out on that Nasus compared to just 1 and a couple of Doran's Blade coming out on that Jax. 2 items are completed on that Hecarim. I guess, yeah, even 2 items on that Swain, including a Zhonya's, which will make Swain even more difficult to kill in teamfights. Especially since he has that blue buff, he can just pop his ultimate and then go into that Zhonya's and heal almost all the way back up. So Swain even more terrifying than he has been at this point.
Yeah, no, and that's another reason why Swain is maybe an inconsistent pick, is that if he's very mana reliant, and with that blue buff, he is absolutely able to tear apart the enemy team. As he actually did just lose it, so it should be coming up here shortly. It doesn't have that anymore, but he does still have that Chalice of Harmony in his pocket, so he will still be a huge impact in these fights as they're dancing around Baron once again.
Now, Insert Funny Name doing a good job keeping minions pushed out of their base, and so they do have the opportunity to dance at this Baron, but it looks like they perhaps started that Baron buff. Asian Pony's actually taken pretty low, and he is going back now. We'll see if Insert Funny Name can capitalize on this. I'm not sure if they know yet that Nasus has gone back. Nasus does have that home guard boot, so he will be able to get back pretty quickly. But as that's all happening, Insert Funny Name loses a tower in that top lane. And essentially what's happening here is that when you get an inhibitor, the minions, obviously super minions, start spawning in that lane where the inhibitor is destroyed, but the minions in the other lanes also get stronger, and so you can see that Innocent Bystanders now has minions pushing in virtually every lane, and Insert Funny Name has had to break off to respond to that. Yeah,
Jax is going to have to go up there and push that back. He does have his Triforce now, but unfortunately they don't have any reaction to the split push right now, as Nasus does still have that teleport if he chooses to use it. Looks like right now they're opting for just more of a 5-man push. They're just going to go ahead and enforce their power around the map as a unit. But unfortunately, if Jax has to be in that top lane, pushing back those minions, those stronger minions, it's going to leave them open here, as actually they are jumping onto Rubling here. He is going to get slowed down there, at least by Asno, but it looks like he should be able to get out there, though. The Asian doing a ton of damage. The one last flag toss combo is going to keep him alive for now, but those minions now in the bot lane as well, they're going to get another turret out of this.
Yeah, and that ultimate was used from Dino Fail, and it looks like they are pushing onto the another inhibitor here, and this will likely be the second inhibitor of the game. DZX actually throwing down that ultimate, but Swain, oh man, DZX being melted by the culling there. No Comment doing quite a bit of damage, is getting fairly low. Jax does want to finish him off. Jax not quite doing enough damage. Rubling also not doing enough damage. And that is a double kill coming out for Hecarim. Meanwhile, Rubling is taken low, and that is a 4-for-0 exchange. The surrender vote is coming out. If they didn't surrender, they would have taken out the Nexus. That is the game going to Innocent Bystanders in this best of one. So Insert Funny Name is knocked out, and Innocent Bystanders will continue on to the semifinals.
Yeah, I mean, and that honestly, I think, was largely a story of Swain. I mean, No Comment just staying alive, and he, like we said, he's reaching that immovable force status there, and they, Red Team and Insert Funny Name, they thought they could take him down, but unfortunately they spent too much time on him, and they let the rest of their team die, and a 4-for-0.
4-for-0, yep.
Ends up in Innocent Bystanders' victory.
So, if you were going to give the MVP to one of the members of Innocent Bystanders, who would you give that MVP to?
Innocent Bystanders, I mean, it's hard to argue with Swain's power in that game. Just in general, he was able to get that mid turret there fairly quickly. He had a amazing build, was able to go against Gragas, who was by all rights playing incredibly well. I mean, he got an early kill onto Swain, but that was his only death, as Swain was able to come back from that pretty hard. So I think it's hard to argue against that. I mean, Lucian did a great job as well, especially on. I haven't seen very many Lucians successful, at least not in competitive play, and so it's really. I guess it's a toss-up between those two.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, and I think they really fed off of each other because they both were very strong at altering portions of the game. And so really, at the beginning portion of that game, Lucian was having a little bit of trouble. I wouldn't say he was having a hard time, but he was having a little bit of trouble. And he really relied on Swain to kind of be that threat where they had to focus on Swain during team fights. But then at the end of that game, Swain was being focused down and Lucian could stand in the back and do damage. But, that Swain just did almost twice as much damage as anybody else in the map. I guess when I say anybody else in the map, I mean anybody else in his team. And I do want to give a shout out to Gao, though, because Gao actually had the second most gold on the map, as well as he did the most damage to champions on the map, which is really impressive on a team that's losing. So Gao definitely deserves a shout out, and he did go 6-5, had all but one of the kills for Insert Funny Name. So definitely a shout out going to him. Ultimately the victory did go to Innocent Bystanders, but that's a really impressive play from the losing team. So yeah, good job, Gao, there. They
both played really hard, and it really was just Innocent Bystanders. They did exactly what they set out to do, and it just so happens that it crumbled across the map as far as Insert Funny Names, turrets, and go. And honestly, I guess that dragon pickup also from Asno was a huge part of that game, somewhat of a turning point, because up until that point it was really close, and either way, both these teams played very hard.
Yeah. So that is the game for today. Again, this was the first round of the finals for the Epic Fall Tournament. This is a best of one. Innocent Bystanders knocking out Insert Funny Name. And there will be more games to come in the future. We don't have any of them scheduled as of yet, but I hear rumors of a couple of them happening tomorrow. So I will send out emails to everybody that's on the Epic LOL page, as well as you can subscribe to our twitch.tv channel, which is twitch.tv/Epic Systems. Unfortunately, Epic was already taken. So we look forward to continuing this tournament. The finals will be held on Sunday. I believe that's November 3rd. I want to double check that. Yep. Sunday, November 3rd at, I believe it's 6 o'clock p.m., but I will double check on that as well. You should have received a Battlefy link, and I will put that at the bottom of the Twitch page as well. So that is the game for today. Thank you for joining us. I was Eric Mjinga Collier, and I was here with
Gillfrost. Yeah, Alex Gillfrost. Gil. And it was a pleasure casting with you, and hopefully we'll see you all soon.